Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live chat all about financial aid. My name is Matt Lance. I'm an associate director in the Office of Admissions. I'm here with Melinda Middleton, who's the director of financial aid. We're here tonight just really to talk about anything you have questions about. So I'm going to let Melinda start with kind of an introduction and then some key points to begin with, and then please feel free to start putting any questions you have in the chat. We're going to get to as many as we can in the next hour. But we're going to have to see how many we get in there. So please feel free to put those in. It's always easier for us to start with the questions. So I will turn it over to Melinda. Anything you want to kind of go over to begin with or introduction?
Hi, Matt. Thank you. Yes, my name is Melinda Middleton. I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at Rose-Hulman. Been here for 26 years. To begin with, I would just want to let you know that your merit aid is good for 4 years. You will see that every year on your award notification that we send you. There's no requirements. There's no GPA requirements, nothing. As long as you're full-time, you'll get that amount. If you go less than full-time, then we will adjust that. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You may give us a call anytime. Email us at finaid.rose-hulman.edu, and we can answer any of your questions.
Perfect. All right, so we've got a couple questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and get started with those. So the first one is, what type of merit-based scholarships are available? So I don't know if maybe you want to talk a little bit through that process of how the merit is evaluated and that kind of stuff.
Sure, yes.
Could probably help explain a little bit of it there.
So how it works is the admissions application comes in and it goes to the admissions counselors. They evaluate it, and they just don't look at classes that you're taking and what grades. Of course, that's very important. But they also look to see what kind of clubs you were in, were you active in the community. So it's a holistic score is what we're looking at. And once we get that score, the Rose-Hulman Financial Aid Office does, then we determine what kind of merit you can get. So it's just not based off of grades. So you can't call me and say, hey, my student's got an A+ in physics. I would not be able to give you the merit because we look at the whole student.
Yep. And I think that's, one of the key things for us is that we are going to look at all the information. And the other thing too is that those merit scholarships are determined based just on this year. So it also makes it very challenging to try to give anybody any idea when it all depends on how competitive this particular class is. So that is, one of the reasons that I know we're past the deadline now, but we always recommend applying early so you can get that information as soon as possible. All right. Next question is, can you still apply for merit-based aid even if you did not apply early action?
Yes. Your application, when you make the application, and if your regular decision, you're going to be considered for merit. 99% of our students get merit. And so on your application, make sure you put everything, what community service you did, what kind of clubs you were in, everything on that application helps you out.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Something that we try to tell students, I think, from the admissions side is it's much easier to put extra information on the application and then let us kind of sort out what's important and what's not, than to leave something out and then we don't even know that it's there. So
right. And once the merit's set and you receive your financial aid notification, what we call FANS, that is, we cannot change that merit.
Good question. All right. So since you mentioned the FANS, next question is, when should award notifications go out?
So we're hoping they will be out soon. The ones that will be admitted in December, and possibly the ones that were admitted sooner, it will be more like January, because we have to look at if you got admitted and all the applications and determine what you need based aid. But once you get your FAN, it should have everything on there unless you haven't filed the FAFSA. Once you file that, then we'll give you another revised award notification with all that information on it. So if you get your first one with just merit, don't panic, just file the FAFSA and we'll go back and reevaluate it and send you another revised award.
Yeah, great. I think that's something that has been a little bit different for us this year. We have gotten some decisions out a little bit earlier than normal. And the big thing to remember is that you are going to get your merit scholarship information with your admissions decision. So regardless of whether you've already gotten the decision or it's going to be coming in December or in March or whenever you're going to get it, you will get a merit scholarship award with your admissions decision, and then just depending on the timing, you'll get updated with the need-based aid whenever the FAFSA is available.
Right. And if they don't have the FAFSA, we're still going to send an award notification to them.
Yeah. All right. So mentioned the FAFSA several times in the last question. The next one is, should you complete a FAFSA if you know you don't qualify for financial aid or grants?
Absolutely. So we as a school give out more need-based than the federal government. So I highly recommend your freshman year, go ahead and fill it out. One, we want to see if you're eligible for all the need-based aid that we can give you. Two, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe, and I hope it doesn't happen, maybe somebody lost their job or somebody got ill. We can always do what we call special circumstance on that. And what that does is you provide all the data that the form is asking, you send it in, then we evaluate it to see if we can lower that SAI, in which would increase your aid.
Great. All right, the next one touches on something you mentioned a couple minutes ago, but I think it's a good question to expand on a little bit. So the question is everything in the scholarship package for all 4 years? So I think probably look at that from not just the scholarship, but the entire FAN.
So all the scholarships you receive from Rose-Hulman on your FAN, financial aid notification, is for 4 years. You can expect that every year. There's no requirements to keep it. We just what we call roll it over to the next year. The only one that is could change is your need-based grant. That is based off the FAFSA data. So we'll look at that each year to determine if you're eligible for and what amount.
Normally, I think it's probably pretty safe to say that you can make a pretty good estimation, though, of the 4-year cost based on the initial package.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless hopefully everybody has a big increase in income, right?
Right. Unless you get a big raise or you hit the lottery.
Right. All right. Next one. The website indicated that all applicants are reviewed for potential scholarships. Are there any special applications needed, or is there an application for scholarships relating to FIRST Robotics?
Okay, good question. So if you've been admitted early action, right, mid-December we'll open up the scholarship applications. Actually, they're on your portal. So when you've been admitted, you'll see the FIRST Robotics, you'll see Rosebud, Ingram, and Trube. You'll see those scholarships on your portal. So if you want to apply for any of those, just click it, fill it out, provide the essay, and then it will be reviewed, and everybody would be notified at the end of March.
Awesome. All right. Next one. Can you stack scholarships?
Well, it just depends. So merit, need-based aid, the scholarships I was just talking about, we stack. But if you are fortunate enough to win the Lilly, which is an Indiana thing, scholarship, then we can't stack. So we would give you the Lilly. We pay for room and housing and food, and then you would lose your merit and need-based aid because basically we can't go over the cost of attendance. So it just depends on the scholarship. A lot of the outside scholarships we stack. But if it's close to the cost of attendance and you're over that cost of attendance, then we will start taking things away. And the first thing we take away are loans.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, good news is you can stack it all the way up to the cost of attendance. And if you get that much money, I think it'd be okay to take a little bit of it back.
Yes.
All right. What if my financial situation has changed after I filed the FAFSA and applied early action?
Okay, that's fine. So February 2nd, the special circumstance form will be on the financial aid webpage. Just when you get on the Rose-Hulman webpage, just search financial aid forms, and the special circumstance form, I think it's on top or it's the third one down. Print that out, provide all the data it's asking for, and then you can get it to us. Then it will be evaluated. It takes about 6 weeks. I know that sounds like a long time, but there's a lot of processing, and we have to send it to the government. They have to accept it and send it back. So if you have all your documents in and I don't have to ask for any more, it will be less than 6 weeks.
So this next one, it might fall into the special circumstance, but I'm not really sure. So
Okay.
Want to put it out there and see what the answer is. So if the family income has changed significantly since the last tax filing, should they advise the financial aid office?
That's a special circumstance.
That's what
Yes.
I wanted
So
to
on
make
that,
sure.
yeah, on that form, they will give us an estimate of 26 income.
Okay.
If 25 income was less than 24, because 24 there's what they're going to use,
Right.
and their 25 is less, and there's because of a certain circumstance, then we will take the 25 taxes once they're filled out and adjust gross income on the FAFSA. But we have to do it. They can't, because we won't accept it if they do it. So we have to do it.
So they're using 24. They can't go ahead and use 25
No.
without doing a special circumstance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. When will the invitation for Novelet scholars be available? Let me take that one.
You take that
Okay.
one.
Yes, that's a great question. So the invitation for the Novelet Scholars Program will go out the week after the final round of the early action decisions. The final round of those should be out by December 15th, and then the Novelet Scholars invitations, or the students that are eligible for that program or to move on into that next step, will be notified within the next week. So you'll have an answer as to whether you're being invited to compete for the Novelet Scholars Program before Christmas. I don't have a specific date, but it will be within a few days, more than likely, of that December 15th deadline or decision date. So keep checking your email. We'll definitely be, reaching out to students right after that December 15th time frame, and let you know if you're eligible to move forward in that process. If you have any questions, feel free to let the admissions office know. We're happy to kind of help answer those for you as they come up. So, next one, how do you determine need-based aid for international students since they don't qualify for the FAFSA?
So what we do is there's an application for need-based aid on your portal. It's about halfway down. It says International Need-Based Aid Application. Just click on it, provide all the data. It will be sent through the portal to us. It will ask for your bank statement. It has to be in US dollars and it has to be in English so we can understand it. And then it will be reevaluated. Basically what I do is I take that information and I put it into a FAFSA to get an SAI. So basically I'm doing that for you with your information. And then if you're entitled to one, then you will get a new award notification, a revised one.
So a big thing to remember with that form is it is not available until you've been admitted. So there's nothing to do currently for international applicants unless you've been admitted. You will find that form, like Melinda said, about halfway down on your admit tab. So like I said, if you currently still only have an applicant tab in your portal, you will not be able to find that form until you've been admitted. I think just to answer kind of one of the next ones that came up too, we do not accept the CSS profile for any student, but we don't accept it for internationals. We also don't accept the ISFA form. So it has to be the form that we have on your portal is the one you'll have to complete. But domestic or international, we don't accept the CSS profile.
Right.
What do you get as a National Merit finalist, and is it renewable?
Okay, so National Fair finalist, you'll get $2,000 each year from that program. Now there's three kind of levels with National Merit. It's the $2,000 each year. There is company sponsors you, and that is for usually 4 years as well. Then there's one that's 1 year, $2,500, and that is from National Merit itself. So there's three things. I don't know which one you would get, and they will let you know.
Awesome. All right. We had another one from an international student about whether they're considered for need-based aid. I think we just touched on that a minute ago. So same thing, you'll have to fill out that form in your admit tab in your applicant portal after you've been admitted. Do you have to commit to Rose-Hulman before the other scholarships, First Robotics, Rosebud, are awarded in March?
No. You have until May 1 to accept admissions here at Rose-Hulman, and everybody will be notified at the end of March. So you do not have to make the deposit to be considered for that scholarship.
Awesome. What is the range of merit scholarships? What Yeah, basically, what is the range that students are looking at? I think for merit scholarships, and then if you have any idea what it is for just financial aid awards in general.
There is a range, but on the top of my head, I would say I haven't really seen them. So I would say around 20,000, maybe all the way up to 30. Maybe 19 is the low one, up to 30. So, and those are again 4 years. You get that every year. We will go the fifth year if you have to are taking a double major, or if you decide, oh, I don't want civil engineering, I want electrical engineering. You can go the fifth year and you still receive that merit aid. We will not go the sixth year unless you appeal that.
Awesome. And so that was for the merit. So any of the need-based aid would go in addition to that.
Yes.
And so that could definitely, those ranges can increase to some extent, but that, like I said, that's what you're looking at there. What Melinda was talking about was for the merit scholarships.
Right.
Is there someone we can talk to about the GI Bill and other veterans benefits?
Absolutely.
So the next two are actually about the same questions.
Absolutely. Amy Kingering in the financial aid office takes care of all the vets, or the dependents of the vets. You would have to turn in the eligibility certificate. I just talked to her this afternoon, and she said if you get it in May 1 until August 1, so if you get in between there, she would be able to set you up and get that going with the GI Bill. How it works, we're Yellow Ribbon as well. So how that works is, I'm going to make it real easy for me. If GI Bill is worth $25,000, we will use the GI Bill first. And let's say it is, the first term is 18,000. So 18, that you only have 7 left of that 25. So 7,000 will go for the winner, and then the rest of it is split between Yellow Ribbon and us. So that's how Yellow Ribbon works. And we're unlimited. So that means we can take as many as we want.
That's good to know. Let's see. Are there additional merit scholarships to apply for after the initial scholarship package, or any increases available from the initial award? What can you do to access those if so? So I think probably best way, are there opportunities for additional merit aid after a student, let's say after they've actually attended? Because I know obviously that package, the merit scholarship they get initially is what they're going to be offered for that freshman year for sure. There's not really any way to increase that, but are there any opportunities for continuing students for scholarships?
Right. So we do have a scholarship database that current students can see. Students right now that are just applying cannot see that. It's just our continuing students. So they have to be a Rose-Hulman student to see it. And we get a lot of scholarships coming from different companies that are looking for electronics or computer or mechanical, and we put it in that database. So they can look at that database. Also, when you become a junior, senior, departmental scholarships are available. Like Civil has a lot. They have a lot of scholarships. So you could check with those departments when you get up into your junior, senior year.
Okay, nice. Are private scholarships, for example, Rotary Club, stackable with Rose-Hulman awards?
Yes.
So we talked about that a little bit earlier. Anything outside, regardless of where it's coming from, is stackable all the way up basically to the cost of attendance, or very close there.
Let me give you a but statement. Yeah, there's always a but statement in financial aid. Always. So if you have a scholarship that is truly just tuition, and your tuition's already paid for, and you get another scholarship that says it has to go to tuition, we will reject that scholarship because you already have a scholarship paying tuition.
Right. So sometimes those scholarships can be a little bit tricky and be written in certain ways that they have to go towards specific parts of your education. And once they do that, obviously if there's nothing left in that specific component, then we're not going to be able to use it anymore after that point. So it is always nice to have those scholarships that are just general, so you can use them for anything.
Yes, we like those scholarships.
But sometimes they are tied to specific things. So that's a good question to make sure you ask the scholarship person that's awarding you, and then also talk to our financial aid office about how that's going to impact the other scholarships you're receiving. So if you reside out of state, is the tuition more?
No, it's the same. People in Terre Haute pay the same as people from California. So private school, you pay the same amount. And we are on a block system. So if you take 12 to 18, you pay the same price. But if you go over 18, then it becomes per credit hour. If you go under 12, it becomes per credit hour. So it's a block. We call it a block system.
Yep. So better or worse, everybody's paying the same tuition regardless of where they're from.
Right.
Local or international. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
All right. Next one. Do you qualify for a scholarship if you're a National Merit Commended student or only for finalists?
Just finalists. So you've got to put Rose-Hulman on that saying, yes, I'm going to Rose-Hulman to be able to get that scholarship.
When completing the FAFSA, should the 529 appear as a student asset or parent's asset for purposes of calculating the SAI?
It would be under the parents and only use the 529 that's for that child coming to Rose-Hulman. You do not have to add everybody's. That's for both children. Just add the one that's coming to Rose.
Okay, that's good to know. It'd be better for you not to add them all together.
That's right.
All right. Can we apply for need-based aid if already awarded merit-based aid?
Yes. Once we see your FAFSA, we'll start looking to see if you're eligible for need-based, and then we'll put it on the financial aid notification when we send them out. And let's say if you don't file the FAFSA right now, and later after you got the FAN, we'll go back and award need-based if you're eligible for it.
Okay. Let's see. We've got a couple here that are very similar. What percentage of students are awarded merit scholarships? So one of the questions is about merit specifically, and then one is about just aid in general. But I think they're different answers. But
okay.
Yeah.
Merit. 99% of our students get merit. The 1% maybe they're getting full cash from a scholarship from some other donor. Aid, well, merit is aid. So again, 99% of our students are going to get some sort of aid from Rose-Hulman. Need-based, it's all over the board. I couldn't tell you how many students get that. One year will be one number, and next year will be the next. So It's hard to say.
Yep. The need-based aid all depends on that class and what students are qualified for it and not. That number is never going to be consistent. But the merit that's something that we can control, and so almost every incoming student. I mean, I think even from the 99%, it would be 99 point something.
Yes.
Percent,
yes.
Right. It'd have to be a special circumstance for some reason for a student not to be. So that is something you can definitely plan on. And like Melinda said earlier, it's going to look at a lot of different factors about you. Everything we can look at realistically. So let's see. Do you offer cross-country track and field scholarships?
No. We're Division III, and so we don't look at any scholarships for athletics. Our office doesn't even know if they are in athletics. The only way I know is if they have a T-shirt on and says basketball player. That's the only way I can know. So no, we do not give any scholarships for athletics.
Nice. Next one. How will the government shutdown affect the FAFSA timeline?
It doesn't. No, they're still going to process those. They're still processing financial aid. They're still sending us the money to give to the students. The shutdown, the only thing that hurts the shutdown is for us to call in to ask questions because they won't be there.
Okay. Does the tuition increase each year, and what is the rate of increase if it does?
It has increased each year. I think there was 1 year during COVID it didn't. It's between 2, 3, 4%. It just depends on the year.
But it's been very consistently in that 3% range for quite some time outside of the pandemic year.
Yeah.
So that is something, even when we talk about making that kind of initial estimate, from your freshman financial aid package, the FAN that you get, trying to estimate the total cost of the 4 years, even though the tuition, has increased each year. There are, some other fees and things that will come off of that freshman award, like the laptop fee.
Right, the laptop.
That will adjust. And so even though it's not going to give you a 100% accurate number as to what the 4 years will cost, there's a pretty good way to get a good ballpark out of that initial financial aid package.
Absolutely. Yes.
Do you consider whether other siblings are in college for the need-based scholarships?
We do not. We just take what's on the FAFSA, and it's going to be one.
Let's see. If you get the Performing Arts Scholarship, what do you need to do during that school year? So I think the question is more so I think, are there requirements to retain the Performing Arts Scholarship?
I don't know that answer.
At this point in time, there are not any requirements that I'm aware of
Yeah.
for the performing arts or for the competition teams. So I think the idea with those is that you're being awarded for what you've done and your potential on campus, and we would like to have you continue those types of activities, but there is not currently a requirement to be involved in those when you're on campus.
Right, yeah.
Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. After we do the FAFSA, when should we expect to hear about any additional aid?
So if you were admitted already, that's going to be soon, probably before the end of the year. If you're admitted in December, you'll get your merit aid in the packet, but it will be more in January. And then regular decision, they usually know by 1st of March, end of February, and then we'll have them out mid-March.
Say it's probably a good, probably to plan on 4 weeks.
Yeah.
If that maybe ish, like let's say that somebody applied early action and they submit it in January, they would probably be getting it maybe sometime in February, early March.
Yeah.
Is that probably a good?
Yeah. Once we get going and we know the system's working, it's pretty fast by then.
Yeah. So most of it from this point forward will come pretty quickly after, but it just depends on when you actually complete the FAFSA.
Right. Yeah. With Christmas in the middle of that, that's kind of throws
it
all off. So
yeah, that's true. I filed the FAFSA. Do I need to worry or do something if the portal says you don't have my FAFSA?
It depends on when you did it. We stopped downloading into the portal a couple of days ago because we're getting ready to look at looking at fans to start working on them. So if it was earlier than that, I would give us a call. So to make sure that we have it, and if we have it, then you're fine. So give us a call if it's not on there, and we'll let you know.
So I think the other thing to remember with that, especially I think with how things work sometimes in the times that we live in, is that once you file the FAFSA, we don't immediately get it, right?
No, it takes 3 days to process, and then we have to download it. We have to go through each one of them to be able to upload it into our system, and then it goes into the portal.
Right.
So it's not, hey, I filed it yesterday.
Right.
Do you have it? No.
Right. I think that's the other thing to remember is they expect a week or so delay and check it after that, and then if it's still not in there for some reason, then feel free to contact the office. But don't submit it tonight, and if it's not on there tomorrow,
give me
a call.
call.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Because the answer is going to be say no.
Right.
But if you did it a couple of weeks ago, please give us a call if it's not on the portal. We'll look and see maybe Rose-Hulman's name's not on there, or maybe it rejected for some reason. So just give us a call. We'll let you know.
Let's see. All right. The next one. Do you put 529 account money on the FAFSA that grandparents contributed to, or just parents?
Just parents.
Okay. So I think to make sure, so the question is, do you put the 529 money on there that the grandparents contributed to, or just the parents? So if it's all in one 529 account, it's going to be whatever's in that account, correct?
Right. If it's not,
so even it doesn't matter who contributed to that account,
right?
So let's say the student has one account, they have to put that whole amount on there.
But if the grandparents has a separate account, you do not count that.
Right.
But if the grandparents are adding the money onto the 29 that they have, the parents have for them, then they have to count
Right.
that.
I don't really know which way that question was going, but I think it's probably good to talk about both,
Yes,
just because
yes,
I'm sure
yes.
there are some that are contributing directly to a single account, and then
Right.
there are some that have their own. So,
Right.
okay, cool. Are there any on-campus job opportunities available outside of the work-study program? If so, how limited, competitive are they, and what's the typical number of hours allowed?
Okay, so majority of our work study, our jobs on campus are work study. We do have a few that it doesn't require work study. One big one is called Ask Rose. Probably a lot of Indiana students know about this. It's homework help for 6th grade up to 12th grade. You can call or email Ask Rose, and one of the students will help. Those are usually working from about 4 to 10 every evening, or maybe 7 to 10. And you work 4 days a week. Yes, four or 5, one of the two. And that is Lilly grant driven, so you do not have to have a work study position there, and they're always looking for people to help with the tutoring. There are other few jobs, and how you find out about them is we have a program called Handshake, and that's where you go online and you can look for work study positions and non-work study positions on campus.
Right. I think the thing to remember too, with whether it's work study or non-work study, is that there are hour limits and requirements and things like that for certain positions, but the majority of students do not work all that many hours.
Right.
I think is something
Right.
to keep in mind, just because of the workload and things like that. There are some that work quite a bit, but most of them are keeping it to kind
Right.
of a minimal amount of hours.
Well, if they're work study students, they can only make up to
Certain amount of money.
2,800 for the whole year.
Right.
That's the max.
Right.
A lot of what I've seen is your freshmen don't work as many hours because they're just getting used to the social life, the study habits. As they get into their junior and senior year, a lot of them do earn that 2,800, and they kind of stay with the same job. I mean, once they start with, let's say, the bookstore, they stay with the bookstore all 4 years.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Next one, if you have to amend a FAFSA, does your system, so I think they mean on our end, auto update, or do we have to notify you? Like, for example, if they put multiple 529s in the parent assets, for instance.
Okay, I can answer that.
Okay.
You don't have to explain. I can answer that. So do not touch it. You'll need to call us, explain what happened, and a lot of it is rollover, so the system doesn't catch, how we do those FVTs, they roll over into the system, the FAFSA, the income taxes, and it doesn't catch rollovers. So your rollover may be on there that shouldn't be on there. So you just give us a call, and what I would do at that point, I'd say, well, send me your taxes to show that is a rollover, or the company information that says it's a rollover. But if you make the corrections, we won't accept them. So it's best to give our office a call.
All right. That is good information to know. If the parents are separated, which one should fill out the FAFSA?
Okay, so if they're separated, it's the one that gives most of the support, is who actually back up. That was a couple years ago. It is who makes the most. You put on the FAFSA. And if that parent is married, then let's say their divorce situation and that parent is married, they have to use the step parent information on that as well.
The highest earning parent, and then
the step
right
parent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting change there.
Yeah, that happened a couple of years ago, and I'm just not used to it yet.
Yeah. I've only been doing this for a few years, Melinda. So
just
yeah.
A few.
All right. Are there any scholarship, grants, or financial resources available for study abroad?
That's an interesting question. It depends on where you go. So the best person for study abroad is Amy Kingering, the one that does GI Bill. It just depends. If you go one place, then you'll pay tuition, and then Rose-Hulman money will pay if you pay tuition at Rose-Hulman. But if you pay tuition at the study abroad, then no, but you can get private loans to do that.
Okay.
So it just depends.
Yeah. There's always nuances to all of these things.
Oh yes, there's always buts in financial
Yes,
aid.
right. All right. Does the cost of attendance include tuition, fees, and room and board? So I don't know if you want to kind of, I know nobody has their fans yet, but you want to kind of talk about what that will look like for them once they get it?
So what you're going to do is when you get it, you're going to have the top part's going to have the direct cost. The direct cost is what you're going to see on your invoice through Rose-Hulman. The indirect, which is at the bottom of the fan for financial aid notification, are the indirect costs, and those are your books, because we have no clue what you're going to pay in books. Transportation, extra meals, because the government says you eat 21 meals a week instead of 18 that we provide. So that bottom part, it's indirect because it's not going to be on your bill. The top part will have tuition, fees, housing, and food. And then also, since you're a freshman, they'll have the laptop listed there as well. The laptop will be an estimate because we have no clue what it's going to be, but it will have all the software that you'll ever need. If there's an update for that software, you get it free. If it malfunctions, you take it to EIT, they fix it, give it back to you. You get a backpack with it. So it's $2,800 right now, but we don't know the actual cost. But it's a pretty good deal. We're not making any money from Rose-Hulman. We're just charging what we get charged. So you will see on your fan the total cost of that, and then you'll see that we subtract the grants, and then you'll get a figure. And then if you have loans, that will be on there, but it will not subtract it. If you want to take the loans out, then you'll have to subtract that off yourself. You do not include work study as aid going towards your tuition, fees, housing, and food, because you get paid biweekly, and we give it to the student. So the student can turn around and give that money back to us to pay for one of those, but it's up to the student. Because they earn that money, we give them a paycheck.
Yeah. I think that's something that's definitely helpful to know, because I don't know that everybody's aware of that work study does come in the form of a normal work check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is not something that's going directly towards your bill. So I think a lot of times, that can be used for a lot of different things.
Right.
It definitely could be used for some of those indirect costs and things like that.
Right.
Extra food and that kind of stuff. But that was something that was surprising to me, even once I was on a college campus, working on a college campus, that it was not going directly towards a bill, even though it's coming through the financial aid office.
Right.
So, okay. If you've gotten a better SAT score since applying and being admitted, what should your course of action be?
So once you get your financial aid notification, you can send it in, but we will not change the merit aid, because once we send that out, we don't look at anything. So you can send it in, let admissions know, but your merit will not change.
Okay. Does the merit aid increase with the tuition increase, or is the merit fixed from the first year?
It is fixed. So you'll get the same amount each year.
So it is not going to increase at the same rate. It's not going to increase at all,
Right.
even if the tuition and room and food do.
Right.
For the competition team scholarship, would academic teams like an academic bowl team or competitive math team count for it?
I think they do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So so the competition team scholarship, the visual and performing arts scholarships are new for us this year. It is something we've just added. So there, some things we're still kind of working through, but we are trying to lump as many things as we can into those competition teams. And so things like the academic bowl and that kind of stuff would be. If you're starting to get into sports of any kind or some of those other things, they are not going to be. But anything that's academic or robotics or anything like that will be able to be lumped into there. So That's a good question.
And it's for only early action students. Yeah, regular decision would not be able to apply for those.
Yeah. But you can continue to apply for those after you've submitted your application, after you've been admitted. I mean, we're still taking applications for that, even though we've made it past the early action deadline. So if you are an early action applicant, please get into your portal and check out those scholarships that are in your applicant tab. And if you are qualified for one of them, please feel free to fill out the forms for those.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm currently on a dependent visa in the U.S. and completing grades are and completed grades 10, 11, and 12. What kind of scholarships am I eligible for? Since I'm not eligible for the FAFSA. So I think one of the big things, and you can talk about this in a second, but the international and domestic students are evaluated for merit scholarships in the same way.
Right.
So it doesn't matter, if you're an international student that completed high school in the U.S. or if you're a domestic or a U.S. student that completed high school internationally. All the information that we're going to pull from your application for admission and send over to financial aid is going to be reviewed the same way, no matter what your status is. So
Right.
I think it's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing difference is the need-based aid.
Right.
You had to fill that. The internationals have to fill that
Right.
form
Yeah.
out in their portal.
Yeah. So the need-based process is obviously different between the FAFSA and the other, but from the merit perspective, the scholarship perspective, it'll be the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does aid get issued as reimbursement or direct pay to the student?
So we will send it through your invoice. Once your invoice is paid and there's money left over, then you get a refund. It will go to the student unless the parent loan, you put the parent saying the parent gets that funds, then we would send it to the parent.
So that is if you are above the cost of attendance.
No,
right?
No.
Oh.
You can't go above the cost of
Okay,
attendance.
okay.
So it's if your bill is
Right.
$23,000
Okay.
and you have $25,000 worth of aid,
Okay.
then there's a $2,000 refund going somewhere.
Yes. Yes. The actual scholarships basically just come off the bill, though. So
Right.
most of the aid you will not ever see.
Right,
It'll just be
just kind of
subtracted from.
Yes, it just kind of floats there
exactly.
and boom.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Does a student need to formally commit to Rose-Hulman? If so, how and by when? So once you've made your decision that Rose-Hulman is the right, place for you, you would need to make that official by making your enrollment deposit. You can do that through your applicant portal, and it will need to be done by May 1st of 2026. So the process for that can be found through the Admit tab. So if you have any questions about how to make that commitment, feel free to reach out to the admissions office and we'd be happy to walk you through that. But like I said, you're going to find a place in your Admit tab to be able to make your enrollment deposit.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we get that enrollment deposit, if you do come, that becomes a credit on your account. So you don't lose it if you come. So you'll see that on the fall bill. It's a credit.
Right. Is it a true deposit, right? Because it's going to show up.
Right, it's going to show up. Right.
If you don't need loans the first year or two, can you still apply for a loan for your junior or senior year?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So if you file the FAFSA, we're going to offer you the Stafford loans, but we're going to tell you to go in, accept them or decline them. And we're going to do that every year. So let's say it happens in the freshman year, you decline them, but during the winter term, you're like, wait a minute, I really need those loans. You just call us and we'll put them back on. No problem.
Do domestic students need to provide a social security number to apply for scholarships?
No, they do not.
Not for scholarships.
No.
The scholarships are going to come from your application for admission. And so all of that information is going to come through the app process.
Right.
So
right.
I think need-based aid would be different, right?
No, they don't need a social security number.
FAFSA.
No.
Okay.
Sometimes if the FAFSA doesn't have enough information to match the admissions app, then we can't do that. Then we might reach out and say, we need your social security number to do this.
What if the parent making the most money did not claim the student on their taxes?
Good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
They still have to use their tax information. It doesn't matter who claims who.
Interesting. It's good to know. Let's see. My student has received a financial aid letter. Is the FAN or the financial aid notification a different document?
Yes. So you got a letter saying how much merit or if those other scholarships that are available for early action, and you'll get a FAN, financial aid notification. It just depends. It's going to be before the end of the year if you've already had that information. If you get admitted in December, then it'll be in January. And it's going to list everything. It's going to list the merit. It's going to list if you file the FAFSA, it's going to list if you've got any need-based aid, a Pell Grant, if you're from state aid. There'll be loans and maybe work study. So all that will be listed on there.
Yeah. So the big thing I think different between a couple of big things between the letter and the fan is that the letter just gave you a few numbers, right?
Right.
Just the merit, those other scholarships. The fan is going to lay out every piece of financial information, both from what you're receiving, but also the costs and things like that. So to actually get kind of a bottom line number for what the cost is going to be, you're going to have to wait until you receive that fan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. One way to finance could be with internships. Given the current job market, did Rose see less companies come out this fall compared to 23 and 24 for internship opportunities?
That would be career services question. I know that we had quite a few companies that came on campus for career service job fair. Huge. But I don't know that answer about how many internships or co-ops were available.
The attendance at the fall career fair was very, very comparable to what it was in 23 and 24. So I think in 23 and 24, it was between 240 and 250 companies. And I think this fall it was like 235 or something like that. So, I mean, it was extremely similar to what that's looked like in the past. Whether those companies were offering internships, what those internship offers looked like, things like that, like Melinda said, would be a question for the career services office, but just from a volume standpoint. And I would think that if a company is making the effort to send one or multiple people to campus, that they're probably going to be offering something. It may not be the same volume they had in the past, but that would be something that career services could definitely offer or answer for you in a much more detailed fashion.
And we encourage the freshmen to go to the job fair just to see what it's like.
Yeah. When will we know about tuition exchange?
We will start looking at those sometime in January, and hopefully by the middle of February, we'll start giving that out. What we do is we get them, we'll get a list of them, and then we'll evaluate them. We'll ask, I don't know how many they're going to send out, 5, 6 of them. As people deny it or accept it, then we'll just keep working down the list.
Okay. If a student is considered an independent student by the FAFSA, what happens? So like if you have somebody that's an independent, right?
In legal guardianship or something like that. Nothing happens. We just use your income only. You would be independent, so like your parents would not be able to do a parent loan. You would have to do a private student loan if you needed a loan. You would probably have no income, so you'd get full Pell, full SEOG. You would get maybe state aid. It just depends if you're from Indiana. So, and you're eligible for a little bit more Stafford loans.
I think the biggest thing with the independent status is just that it's just going to be looking at your income.
Right. Just your income.
So whatever that is definitely that's what's going to affect the FAFSA. Right. Submitting it, things like that, how it's reviewed is not going to change. It's just going to be what amount of income is being considered.
Right.
If a student competes in more than one competition team, can you apply for each activity or just one? So with the competition team application, when we are reviewing those in your application, we'll see all that different information, and you're more than welcome to put those on there, and they will be considered. There are different amounts for the competition team scholarship, and so having multiple competition teams that you're involved with will be taken into consideration for what amounts will be awarded. So, for the competition team scholarship, what types of robotics awards are considered? So there's kind of different categories that we're looking at when we're going through the awarding for the competition teams. Some of it's going to be amount of involvement, some of it's going to be type of involvement. So, if you had a leadership position or, what the involvement was in those specific robotics teams is what we're going to be looking at. And so it doesn't necessarily matter entirely. Like, I don't want to say it doesn't necessarily matter how you placed. I mean, that's helpful, but I think it's more about what your involvement was and how the teams did to some extent, but it's not all based on just what the outcomes were. I don't think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So the question is, if you succeed in every merit-based scholarship that Rose-Hulman offers, what would the notification timeline look like? So the merit is all done at the same time. So there's the only thing that would change the timeline, I guess, would be those additional scholarships. So the merit process itself is just done through the application, but
and those other scholarships that we don't do until end of March.
Right.
So they're due February 1, and by the end of March we'll announce those as well. Yeah, merit you get when you apply and get admitted.
Yeah. So the question says, there are limits qualifiers for federal loans. Do you help with identifying private loans?
Yes. So you can even look right now. You can just go on the Rose-Hulman website, just put it in the search bar, private loans. We have loans out there, loan companies that our current student use. You can look at what kind of interest rate, their ranges that they offer, what the benefits are. But you can look at those now. Those are the loan companies that our current students use. Doesn't mean you have to use any of them. If you find one on your own and it's better, go for it. But that will help you get an idea.
That one actually goes well into the next one too. What are the terms of offered a private loan through Rose-Hulman?
The terms that.
So we don't offer any private loans.
Yeah, we don't. Rose-Hulman doesn't offer any private loans. We don't offer any loans at all. Right. You would have to go to the website that I was talking about, or find one on your own and look at their terms. And most of those, I would say a lot of those, most of them have that 6-month grace period, just like the Stafford loans do and the parent loans. And some have 9 months grace period.
Okay. Could you share what factors Rose-Hulman considers when deciding the amount of merit aid?
We look at everything. I mean, we look at a student as a whole student. I mean, we look at holistic. We look at what kind of clubs did they volunteer? How active were they in school? Their academics, what kind of classes did they take? What kind of grades they got? So we look at a lot of things to determine what kind of merit. So if you called and told me they took this class and they got A's, I still would not be able to tell you what merit they would get.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with that is that the students, the applicants don't, there is not a way for you to kind of try to gauge what we're looking at, right? So as you go through the application process, the admissions counselors are going to pull out as much information about you as they can. I think one of the big things to remember is that we are going to try to find everything that we can that's positive for you in that process, both from an admissions decision-making standpoint and also from a scholarship standpoint. So any information we can find, whether it's extracurriculars, academic oriented, if there's something interesting in your essay or something in your letter of recommendation that's going to be helpful or add in some way to what we can do with the scholarship awarding, we're going to try to put as many of those things in as we can. And then once we send that data over to financial aid, that's when those decisions get made. So it is a very well-rounded look at the student in terms of what they've done overall throughout their high school career, but it does make it basically impossible to get an early answer, I think. So that's one of those things we always, like I said earlier, and I know we're past the deadline now, but do recommend the early action timeline, because you can get that merit scholarship at least by mid-December, right? So you might have to wait a little while for the need-based aid, but the merit scholarship you will for sure have by mid-December.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do different student residence halls have different costs, or are they all the same?
No, they are different costs. I think there's 2 different costs in the residence hall, maybe 3. I do believe it is 3. So the number that you're going to see on your FAN, your financial aid notification, that's going to be an average. The federal government tells us that we have to average that. And so that will be an average number. So that won't be exact number, but it's going to be close. The new res hall, the new freshman hall is a little bit more, but not that much more.
Yeah.
So just know that it could be a little bit more depending on where you go.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that'll be laid out for you when you get to the point of making selections on the housing application. So you'll have the ability to see what those costs are going to look like and then make a decision based on that. So.
But all the other costs are estimated right now, but what you see is what it's going to be unless the board changes it. But the housing is the only one that is an average.
Do you ever match offers from other schools?
No, we don't. You can send us that offer, and we will look at it to see if we can increase your financial aid, but we will not start accepting those until after January 1, and you have to have a competitor's notification, and it has to have the cost of attendance on there and all the awards.
Yeah, so I think, like Melinda said, the short answer is no, we don't match them.
No.
We will take them into consideration and use them in our own process, but it will not be a dollar for dollar match.
No.
I think that's probably the most important part of this is that they can be used and will be used in consideration, but there's not going to be a match with them.
And they have to be competitors.
Right. Yeah. Yep. All right. Will a video of this live chat be available to go over later? Yes. So we are recording this chat. It's going to be available on YouTube probably early next week, I would say. It might be later this week, but it just depends. I would say for sure by sometime early next week it should be available. So I know if you join late or if you have somebody that wants to watch it and wasn't able to join, we're definitely going to have this available to be able to view sometime next week. So I think we are getting very close to the end on time here. We definitely still have quite a few questions that we weren't able to get to. So I know one of the big things to remember, and Melinda mentioned this earlier on, if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out to the financial aid office. Their email is finaid, so that's FINAID, at rose-hulman.edu. Is there anything, Melinda, that you think we really missed on so far?
I don't think so. Email would be the best to get a hold of us because we're getting a lot of calls. And if you go to voicemail, it may be later in the day or the next day that we get to it. Emails, we try to get that the same day. So make sure you get those emails. And if we missed a question and you want it answered, just email it to us. We'll email it back to you.
Perfect. All right. Well, like I said, we're right at the end of time here. But I'd like to thank everybody, for joining. If you have any questions that are admissions related, always feel free to reach out to the admissions office as well. So admissions at rose-hulman.edu, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Whatever we can do to help you through the application process through the remainder of the year, please let us know, and we'd be happy to do that. So I'm not sure if we're going to be having another one of these in the spring. We may or may not. So keep an eye out for that. It kind of just depends on where things are at. But we will have other live chats for academic departments coming up in the spring. So I guess late winter.
Right.
So starting after the beginning of the year. So be sure to keep an eye on your email for those. So we typically have usually each evening like this, we'll have 2 academic departments, and then we'll go through all those different academic areas. So please feel free to check those out. Like I said, starting after the beginning of the year. Otherwise, we appreciate having everybody on tonight, and have a good evening.
Yes.